It's been over 30 years since Home Alone's initial release, and by now, there's been endless sequels and remakes to give fans even more Christmassy moments. With all the wild tactics and adventures the McCallisters and the Wet Bandits took us on, it's no wonder the film series is a fan favorite doubled as a classic holiday flick. Most recently, a new Home Alone movie was launched on disneyplus with an OG McCallister actor portraying an unhelpful police officer. Which Home Alone is your favorite? Do you prefer the first or the second film? Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments, and let's jump right in. Taking our 10th spot is Macaulay Culkin as Kevin McCallister. As I'm sure the entire world knows, Macaulay acted in the Winter Festive franchise as 8-year-old mischievous Kevin. As the star of the movie, Kevin was included in the youngest bunch of the large McCallister family, a young boy who grew sick of being belittled and ignored, and he seemed to get his wish for quiet after his family accidentally leaves him behind while embarking on their vacation. But then, Kevin is shortly interrupted from his peace of mind by two witty thieves attempting to break into his home. Like any other average 8-year-old, of course, Kevin used all his brainpower to conjure up endless near-deadly traps around the house to protect his family's home, as well as himself. Cue the whole movie's plot rolling on the screen and yada yada. Nowadays, Macaulay is all grown up, and to many's surprise, with the massive childhood fame Macaulay accumulated in the 90s, he ended up eventually stepping back from the spotlight to live a relatively quieter life on the outskirts of the public's view. However, this doesn't mean he exited stage left entirely. He picked up more consistent acting work from 2016 onward, prior to joining the 2021 American Horror Story cast. Following him playing Mickey on the popular series, Macaulay moved on to acting as Harmon Freeman in a double episode appearance of The Righteous Gemstones, and even landed a gig for voicing an intergalactic character. Before we jump to number 9, hit the subscribe button now if you're enjoying our top 10 countdowns. Taking our 9th spot is Joe Pesci as Harry. Legendary actor Joe was hired for the antagonist role of Harry. Harry, with his partner Marv, somehow knew the McCallisters' plans to take off from their fancy home for their holiday vacation. Therefore, they crafted a plan to break in and rob the home before the family returned. Without Harry's knowledge, Kevin was left behind at home all alone, which resulted in his master plan facing major leaks. And despite his many awful moments in the movie at the hands of Kevin, Harry hands down had some of the most comical lines in the entire film. Now though, the elderly actor and his career have seen a much slower pace over the years. Now 79, Joe's most recent acting job was back in 2019 for The Irishman, a job which earned him a Best Supporting Actor nomination for the Oscars. Taking our 8th spot is Daniel Stern as Marv. Next to Harry and doubled opposite, Kevin was Daniel's character Marv. Now Marv didn't hold nearly as much of a threatening presence as Harry did. As a matter of fact, Marv is considered the goofy one of the duo. Yet with how unserious Marv was, he sustained some serious injuries during his and Harry's attempts at breaking into the McCallisters' abode. Obviously, we know they failed here though. One, because anyone who has seen the movie, which is basically the whole world, knows that law enforcement eventually came to lock them up. But two, because the franchise released a whole second movie revolved around a fairly similar plot. Lately, however, Daniel has been taking on steady acting work since being a star of the Home Alone film series. So far, he's appeared in Manhattan, Dilbert, and more recently Shrill. As for IMDb, fans of Daniel can watch him next in Stern, in which he takes on the role of Everything's Peachy's Jeff Schiff, still awaiting both filming and production. Taking our 7th spot is Catherine O'Hara as Kate McCallister. Catherine portrayed Kevin's mom Kate, and what a poor job she was doing at keeping her farm ranch load of children in check. Maybe that's a bit harsh actually, but many fans actually agreed with the statement that one of Home Alone's biggest plot holes is Kate forgetting her youngest child at home for their vacation. Because let's not even begin the discussion of how the youngest is normally the favorite child, so realistically, I just can't see that happening. However, for the sake of the movie, we'll give Kate the benefit of the doubt. Besides, she was always a super busy woman who looked after many people. Let's just continue with the narrative that this was, in fact, just an accidental slip-up, and she didn't purposely leave her son out at all. In all fairness, Kate spent most of the movie attempting to race back to Chicago to locate her son in time for Christmas. Nowadays, Catherine holds one of the biggest names in the Hollywood industry. Since her time in the spotlight starting in the 70s, Catherine has been a star of other well-known projects such as A Series of Unfortunate Events, Beetlejuice, Skylanders Academy, and 6 Feet Under. More recently, Catherine took home an Emmy Award for her acclaimed Schitt's Creek role as Moira Rose. The star's most up-to-date projects include a single episode appearance in Kids in the Hall, another solo episode starring in Central Park, and The Last Kids on Earth. As of now, Catherine is additionally a part of 2 post-production movies known as Pain Hustlers and Argyle. Taking our 6th spot is John Hurt as Peter McCallister. John portrayed Kevin's father Peter in Home Alone. While his wife and mother of his children were going to the ends of the world and back, basically, to return to Kevin from Europe, Peter stayed back with the rest of his family to keep an eye on them. However, as dedicated as he was, Peter was arguably not as emotionally invested in the overall situation as Kate was. Unfortunately, in August 2017, the late actor ended up passing away from cardiac arrest, as per The Hollywood Reporter. He was 71 at the time of his death. Prior to his passing, John had a few projects lined up to be released in the future, including Living Among Us, The Tale, and Imprisoned. His last on-screen film, Broom Street, is still currently in the stages of post-production. Taking her 5th spot is Angela Goethals as Linny McCallister. Angela landed the part of one of Kevin's older sisters, Linny. Similar to the other McCallister siblings, Linny didn't maintain a huge part in Home Alone, but she had one iconic line of calling Kevin an idiot in French. When the family realizes Kevin's been left behind, Linny appeared to be annoyed by the entire situation between her sisters and brothers while they were stuck in a Parisian hotel. Of course, Linny wasn't the most likable character in the first film, however, she also wasn't the worst. Fast forwarding to her time outside of the film, Angela has taken time to dive in and out of acting. As for IMDb, Angela was cast in the Behind the Mask follow-up B4TM, playing the character Taylor Gentry. Taking our 4th spot is Devin Ratray as Buzz McCallister. Devin was the actor behind Kevin's nemesis and older brother Buzz. In both the OG film and its sequel, Buzz is a huge terrorizer to his brother. In fact, Buzz seems to make getting Kevin in trouble his mission, as whenever Kevin would retaliate, he was caught and punished for taking up for himself. All in all, Buzz had very few commendable moments within the series. In 2021 though, Devin was brought on for Disney's remake of Home Alone titled Home Sweet Home Alone. And as off-putting as some of the remakes have been for fans of the classic, HSHA was said to have been better than most people made it out to be. In this film, Devin played an adult version of Buzz, who, like Macaulay, was a grown-up police officer within the same area he grew up in. Kind of ironic given his quote, bully-like persona. Still, the continuation of his character was a treat for fans to witness. Outside of the Disney franchise, Devin also portrayed Alfred Hawthorne Hill in a single episode of Better Call Saul. Taking our 3rd spot is Kieran Culkin as Fuller. Kieran took on the role of one of Kevin's cousins named Fuller. Fuller was a young boy closest in age to Kevin within their large family, but Kevin acted miles above his age when it came to Fuller because of Fuller's bedwetting problem. Like a lot of the other secondary characters, Fuller doesn't have many lines in the movie and is mainly portrayed on screen eating pizza and chugging soda. However, Kevin still pretty much despised him. Now, funnily enough, there were quite a few Home Alone lovers who didn't know prior that Kieran is Macaulay's younger brother in real life, even though they had fairly similar faces as kids. Similar to his older brother's path, Kieran was a 90s star who acted in The Cedar House Rules, The Mighty, and Father of the Bride to name a few. These days, audiences can see Kieran in The Succession as Roman Roy, a role which snagged him a 2020 Emmy nomination. Additionally, Kieran also voiced the character. Taking our 2nd spot is Roberts Blossom as Marley. While other audiences were shaking in their boots at Jason with his large chainsaw, younger kids had Home Alone's old man Marley with his hefty snow shovel. Marley was subjected to rumors of harming his family with said object, and this naturally terrified little Kevin. However, Marley served as an invaluable ally against the wet bandits in the end. In his time as an actor, Roberts considered this role to be one of the best of his career, noting how children would recognize him and ask, "Aren't you that guy?" etc. etc. Some of his other acting highlights included portraying Doc Dalton in Clint Eastwood's 1979 film Escape from Alcatraz, and playing a farmer in 1977's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Roberts retired from his Hollywood life in 1999 and spent his free time penning poetry before he passed in 2011 at 87. Taking our 1st spot is Gerry Bamman as Uncle Frank. Gerry probably has some of the best one-liners in cinema history, and for sure in the holiday film genre. Not one person doesn't recognize the ever so memorable "Look what you did, you little jerk." Though his part in the movie seems minor up front, apparently, according to conspiracy theories, Uncle Frank was meant to be the big-time villain who would initially hire Harry and Marv to rob the McCallisters. However, we know the film didn't actually go down that route, and while Buzz was an absolute menace to Kevin, Uncle Frank was even worse. Frank and Kevin, though brief, shared some great comedic scenes together though, like when Kevin referred to Frank as a cheapskate when it was confirmed Frank used his brother's connections and wealth for perks. And we can't forget Frank threatening to smack Kevin in the second movie after Kevin walks in on him showering. To put it nicely, Uncle Frank was just not that pleasant. As of now, Gerry is in his early 80s and hasn't booked an acting gig since 2015. His final TV appearance was in the series Following, in which he played Charles. Now that's been today's WTN. I've been your host Michaela, and thanks for watching, friends.